Welcome back to What's New in the Lou with Alexis Zotos, presented by Caldy's Coffee and recorded right here at Bucket List Podcast Studios. This is your can't miss weekly podcast sharing everything cool that is going on around St. Louis, the place that you are going to learn about the best new restaurants, hear about the can't miss events, and of course, meet the people that make our community such a great place to live and visit. Each week, we're going to bring you an interesting interview, and then we're following it up with a calendar of all the cool stuff happening in St. Louis this week. So stay tuned for the end so you don't miss that. Now, this week, we're talking about some of those new restaurants. I am joined by Travis Howard. He is the co-owner of On Point Hospitality. They're the team behind Lazy Tiger, Yellowbelly, and a brand new spot that's opening later this fall. So Travis, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So in addition to everything you do with On Point, you also opened a new deli this summer.
Yeah, so Garden Variety Deli just opened with, it's not our whole On Point hospitality group, kind of ownership group, but it's one of our long-term employees. His name's Jack
Love
McGinn.
that.
So we kind of help him get this place open. It's really his concept to kind of run with and running all the operations. But yeah, I've partnered with him on it to kind of help him get it up and going.
What's that been like? What's the reception been like? I mean, I've seen on social media, people are excited about this spot and the sandwiches look amazing.
Yeah, it's been really great so far. Then it's in Tower Grove South. It's right just like a block off Tower Grove Park. So we're right by the park. It's a tiny space. So we only have 15 seats inside.
Aquarium store?
It was an aquarium. Art of Aquarius used to be there.
Okay.
So that's what used to be there. Jack farms, so he's growing like 90% of the vegetables and produce, like herbs, everything, garlic, like he's doing a little bit of everything. So he says probably 90% of the produce going into the sandwiches comes from his farm. He's making all the bread as well. It's all house-made focaccia, doing a couple salads with the veggies as well. Tomatoes is a big thing right now. So we've got BLT, we've got just a veggie-based tomato sandwich with herbs, panzanella salad with the same tomatoes. So it's been great. The neighborhood's been super supportive. Businesses in the area have been super supportive. So we're very excited.
At what point did that sort of like come to fruition that you guys were going to kind of help get another spot off the ground in the midst of working towards the opening of another new restaurant?
Yeah, this one actually was kind of in the works first.
Okay.
So I had bought the building that this is in. It's got a couple of apartments in it. I brought a few people through that I thought, I was thinking like a daytime specific thing would fit into that neighborhood well. I'd brought some people in that were interested in coffee, someone like a bakery. So a few different things. And I told Jack to stop by while I was there one day. And he's like, I'm not really looking to do anything right now. I'm like, yeah, I know, just come check this place out.
Yeah.
Jack was our first general manager
cool.
In our restaurant group. So when we opened Yellowbelly, he was the GM of Retreat. So he's bartended, he's cooked, he's done kind of everything. And he stopped by, and then like a day or two later, he's like, hey, I kind of have this idea. And it was like exactly what I had in mind, like kind of grab and go, both inspired by places we've been kind of on the East Coast and West Coast, where if you're going to like a winery or going to a beach or whatever, you stop by a place, grab a sandwich, grab your snacks, and then go if you're going to be outside. So that's a lot of kind of what inspired just kind of the style of kind of concept there. But then obviously he's very into the farming, everything like hyper farm to table, and being able to incorporate that.
Where does he have a farm?
So he's on the Illinois side, and
nice.
he turned the whole back of his lot into a farm, greenhouses, like everything. So
love that.
He's got a lot going on right now.
That's so
running
cool.
the farm and then also the restaurant.
The restaurant itself. Yeah. That's amazing. And yeah, I mean, sandwiches, I think you can never have enough sandwiches is my personal like opinion about it. And there's always, it's fun to see kind of new things pop up, the variety that we can get, even when you think like, oh my God, St. Louis is such a great sandwich town. How could we have even more sandwiches? And then someone pops up and it's like, no, that's exactly what we needed in terms of the sandwich market.
Yeah, exactly. And we're keeping them super simple right now and just letting these really incredible ingredients shine, treating them super well and making sure that they're kind of the star. So far it's been great. We're doing a tiny menu, just kind of, we've been Wednesday through Sunday, 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. We'll probably expand on that a little bit. And we're going to probably try some different things to see what the neighborhood goes for. Like we've pictured some more grab and go things that do well for like a picnic, dips or sides or, cheese and crackers, things like that. So we'll kind of explore some of that stuff and see what takes off.
You've been in the restaurant business for quite
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
How much of it is still a bit of trial and error?
A lot. Yeah. We think I always say that getting the first one up and running is the most difficult. Like
Mm.
if you can execute the first one, then it makes anything subsequent easier just because
Mhm.
people kind of know you, they trust you a little bit more. So the fact that people really liked what we did from the beginning has made it easier. It has not made the process of getting them open any easier, but it has made it a little bit easier to kind of get business in the early
Mhm,
days, that's for
mhm.
sure. But yeah, trial and error is a big thing. I mean, even at Extra Wavy, we have kind of a concept menu, but we won't know what the actual menu is until 2 days before we open. Because once we
Because it's
start working with that equipment, trying out those recipes in that space, how easy it is to execute those
right.
recipes and those dishes, kind of change everything last minute.
So Extra Wavy is your new concept, your
Yes.
newest spot that you guys are gonna open
Yep.
at the former PW Pizza
Correct.
in is that technically Lafayette Square?
I think since it's on the other side of Shoto, it is downtown west,
Okay, right.
but
We love our
Lafayette Square-ish.
neighborhoods here in
Yeah.
St. Louis. So
Yes.
near Lafayette Square in
Yep.
that beautiful building that had a tragic fire,
Exactly.
when did you did the concept come first or did the space come
A
first?
little bit of both. Tim and I had been working on this concept already. So this has been in the works for like over a year and a half that we've been
Mhm.
working on this. I had been kind of going around looking for locations. I'd gone all over the county. I'd looked at places like the district with a lot
Mhm.
of good stuff going on there, new developments in Kirkwood. So we kind of looked all over, but I really had kind of Lafayette Square in mind for what we were wanting to do. And um, I kind of got introduced to a guy who was looking to buy that building,
Mhm.
and that we felt like was kind of like the perfect match. Like the amount of space, kind of the location, what we want to do with this concept, like it all fit really well.
It's a beautiful
It
building.
is.
What was it like when you guys first walked into that space?
It
I
was
mean,
pretty much gutted.
yeah,
So the fire, the damage wasn't so much from the fire as it was from the sprinklers
the
and the water.
water. Yeah.
So there was a kind of a hole in the roof that had been fixed.
Mhm.
I don't know, 5 foot, 6 foot
Oh,
hole in the
wow.
roof. But then all the lower floors were basically flooded with water. So it was pretty much gutted when we walked into it,
Okay.
which also made it easy to change and to
Mhm.
kind of customize. So we've expanded the footprint of what PW Pizza was. It's gonna be a pretty large restaurant.
Okay.
Um, and the new owner is doing events, kind of keeping it going. The Hamiltons were
Mhm.
really popular with their events out of there.
Mhm.
So Gatsby events, we're not affiliated with them, but they are doing all kinds of events throughout the building.
Gotcha.
Where Vindaset was, they're going to be using that patio for probably wedding ceremonies and different
Cool.
events that could be running out up there as well.
It's good to see that that building isn't going to not only be just unused, but not like continue to deteriorate, which we
Yeah,
sadly know can happen with when fires ravage
yeah,
buildings in the St. Louis area. Um, so you mentioned it's a big space. We know you just mentioned your deli's small. Your
yep,
other restaurants are on the smaller side as
yep,
well. I mean, Lazy Tiger is
yeah. It's
just
about
tiny.
30 seats or something like that. Yeah.
What made you want to go towards a larger space?
Yeah, that's a good question. We felt like it's a really good situation. We
Mhm.
also feel like we don't need to jam pack the seats in there, so this way we can be a little bit more spread out.
Mhm.
Like we have room for more seats than what we'll actually put in there. So we kind of wanted to also make it to where it could accommodate bigger groups. One thing that we've had a lot of luck with the last couple of years at Yellowbelly is groups of 10 to 15 people. And there's just not a lot of places where you can get a reservation at a really nice restaurant
Yeah.
for 12, 14 people. So we've been very intentional about the way that we're laying this space out to where there are probably 4 different zones where we could kind of squeeze together the tables and like very easily accommodate a group of 15. So
Love that.
the location was a big part of why we kind of felt like the space, kind of right on the edge of downtown. You can see the Ferris wheel at Union Station from there. I mean, you
Mhm.
can almost walk to Union Station from there. Soccer stadium's right there. So I feel really confident about kind of the way downtown is bouncing back and kind of a lot of good things going on down there. And even though we're not really like in downtown, we feel like we will still be able to cater
Downtown
to the
adjacent.
people. Yeah. People who are coming down for concerts, for
Mhm.
sporting events, and even conventions. Like we feel like we're right there to where we can kind of capture groups for that.
Okay, let's talk about the concept.
Yeah.
Extra Wavy. What's
Yes.
that? Where's the name come from, and what do you
Uh,
hope to, kind of give people with this
Yeah,
space?
naming has always been a difficult thing, I would say, on like any of our concepts. So Tim is much better at this sort of thing than me. And we were like asking people, we had this name in mind. We'd ask different people, like, what do you think this means? And everyone's like, I don't know, but I would want to find out. So I think we're like, that's what we're going for.
Love that.
So we just want people to think like, oh, I don't know what that means, but it does sound interesting. It like does sound fun. So ultimately, we think our food and drinks and everything stack up really well, but what we always go for is kind of the overall kind of atmosphere, experience, and people just to like enjoy what they're doing and kind of get a break from their day. And we felt like the name really like tapped into that.
And what's the food?
The food is, so in ways there are similarities to Yellowbelly, but it's also very different from Yellowbelly. So we think of Yellowbelly as very kind of West Coast influence. Like it was very coastal, but very Pacific Ocean, a lot of Asian influences. This is kind of going East Coast, kind of going Mediterranean. So definitely not a European restaurant, but more nods to some of those traditional East Coast kind of oyster bar, fish house with some, kind of Mediterranean influences. So we're doing more of a raw bar than what we've done at Yellowbelly. And then, decent amount of seafood, but mixing that in with kind of Midwest proteins and things as well. So
I feel like even when you opened Yellowbelly and there was this idea of, there's going to be a seafood element, oysters, and people think we're right in the middle of the country. Why are we doing seafood?
Definitely.
What's your message to people on how and why we also deserve fantastic seafood here in the Midwest?
Well, now even with logistics and shipping and all those things, like these farmers can overnight you stuff from their farm. So it's a lot easier to do that than what it was, 10, 20 years ago. So we definitely think people deserve good seafood. We're spoiled with so much like protein and vegetables and things that are regional based. So we like to incorporate that in every aspect that we can as well. But also being able to trust that you can get some really good seafood as well. So
what does that look like? I mean, you hear about it with others around town. Like, are you driving to the airport to pick this up? Like,
we are not
who's
currently
the courier between the oysters and the restaurant?
There are some good suppliers that also get their stuff overnighted. So we've worked with a bunch of different people, tried a lot of different things. One good thing about Extra Wavy is when we combine kind of the volume of what we've been going through at Yellowbelly with what we'll go through at Extra Wavy, it'll open even more doors to kind of get some of that direct stuff as well too. So we are not the people driving to the airport every day. So
you're not pulling up to Lambert and being like, put the oysters in the bag.
When I hear those stories, I'm like, who is taking the time to do this? Like, how does anyone have time to do this in the restaurant world?
Caldy's Coffee has been proudly roasting in St. Louis since 1994. Guided by a commitment to quality, service, and community, Caldy's strives to make every cup a moment of discovery. And get this, thanks to the support of their St. Louis community and fans across the country, they were named USA Today's #1 coffee chain in 2024. Visit caldyscoffee.com to find your nearest cafe, shop coffee for home, or even book a free tour and cupping at their roastery. Follow the goat to your next great coffee experience. Enjoy the rest of the episode. So you said you're still figuring the full menu out.
We have the menu pretty, in a really good place. We've been hesitant to share many specifics. I know Tim has been big on that too. Like he wants everything to kind of be a surprise.
Okay. Is there something on there that you're really excited about, even just from a concept perspective?
Well, we're doing fresh pastas. We're making all of our own pasta in house. We've already got the pasta machine. It's one that we've seen at a couple places around town. It's like, expensive, but incredible. We have an awesome pastry chef, Aaron Wallman. So he's been working on some desserts, some baking things, and then also working on pasta for us as well. So, like Yellowbelly, we kind of use rice as a component in a lot of different things. And we think of, where we've done that with rice, that's where kind of noodles will be used this time around. So a lot of more of those kind of European influences that way.
Love that.
Yeah.
So I would love to walk it back a bit. You talk about you built that trust in St. Louis by opening something that people really loved. Retreat was the first.
It was, yeah.
When did you guys open Retreat? And
so that was almost exactly 10 years ago. It's 2015.
Wow.
It's October 2015.
Okay. Yeah. So you opened that space. And then how do you feel like that really launched what you've built today?
Yeah, it absolutely launched everything. I mean, we felt like the feedback we got from our guests was incredible, but the thing that surprised me is how supportive other kind of restaurant owners, small business owners were. That's kind of what opened my eyes to like how supportive people are of independent restaurants, of small businesses just as a whole,
Mhm.
locally owned businesses. Like people really go out of their way in St. Louis to support those kind of things. So people kind of tried us out because of that. And we felt like, you know, somehow we hit kind of what we were going for and people really enjoyed it. One thing we've always kind of prided ourselves on is trying to do things that are familiar enough for people who like to eat a little bit safer.
Mhm.
You know, like at Retreat, we always had a salmon dish and it was
Mhm.
always very, very popular. And we always took a lot of pride that there might be people like our parents' age sitting at a table, eating salmon, drinking white wine. And at the table next to them, it's people drinking Busch and drinking like really creative cocktails and eating a cheeseburger. And so
Mhm.
being able to kind of hit both of those things, we weren't really sure if that would work, but it did. And that is something that we continue to carry over. Is like, how do we make sure people feel very comfortable and
Mhm.
feel like they understand things that we have on the menu, even though they might not understand everything on the menu, that they have the things they feel comfortable with. But for the people looking for the adventurous stuff, like we've got that as well. And
You
so,
can kind of hit both of those, which is sometimes often in the same family. I mean, it's like
absolutely,
you know, if I'm bringing my parents out, they might not want
exactly.
all the things that I want on a menu.
That's exactly what we go for, kind of big picture wise, and we have felt like that is where we've done really well. Tim has had this idea of things being extra wavy.
Mhm.
So if we have some dishes on the menu that are a little more traditional,
Mhm.
a little more classic and simple, and then having almost like the In-N-Out burger like animal style, we've got
Yeah.
this extra wavy
Oh,
component to
that's
where
fun.
if for the people looking for the more adventurous kind of modern spin on things, we've got those. So how that actually works in terms of the menu, you know, whether those things are just on the menu or if we, you know, kind of separate them, that is stuff we're still working out. But that is kind of this concept that we've had as we've been building the menu.
How did you and Tim connect? How did you guys become
So we both worked in
partners?
the Bailey's restaurants.
Yeah.
So I was general manager of Bailey's Range at the time.
Mhm.
He kind of got hired to work there, and we just kind of always got along. He's quite a bit younger than me, and I feel like I've gotten to know a lot of people through the restaurants, and it always kind of starts with respect, like a
Mm.
mutual respect. You respect like the other person's work ethic and kind of how they handle things, and then you know it can kind of grow from there. That's how like Jack from Garden Variety Deli the same way. I mean, we hired him to work at Retreat. Uh, just was a really awesome person, worked very hard, and like very quickly realized he's someone who was capable of, you know, kind of doing a lot more. We always felt like Jack was on the verge of like he started out like bussing tables and stuff because we didn't have server positions, bartending positions, and we always felt like right before he was like hitting the limit of how long he could do it, like something else would open up and we'd be able to move him into different things. So that's how Tim and I met. Retreat was kind of a concept I had been working on, and I kind of brought him into it. And very quickly, it was like, okay, like we're going to be partners in this.
Yeah, and Tim obviously is incredible from a cocktail perspective. How do you think he has helped really shaped the cocktail scene here in St. Louis?
Yeah, I think, you know, I am biased, but at the same time, I think it's not biased to say that he is like genuinely an expert at what he
Mhm.
does and like really incredible at what he does. So I think people like Ted Kilgore and those early taste days really kind of is what started the whole process in St. Louis. And those guys are still, you know, doing really great things at Planter's House, which
Mhm.
will now be their neighbors.
Yeah.
And then I think his style is kind of different. The cocktails he is drawn to is a little bit different than the style that I feel like the Planter's House type cocktails are. And I think it has like helped drive it a lot. I think around the time we opened Retreat was you were seeing it more around St. Louis, but one of the simplest things to us was like cocktail bars are different from restaurants,
Mhm.
and restaurants are different from like draft beer bars.
Mhm.
And so we were trying to like, can you do both of those things in one roof? And I feel like around that time you started seeing more restaurants incorporating good cocktails into their program. And I felt like we were, as that was like just jumping off. And I mean, I think Tim, you know, drives a lot of stuff for St. Louis.
Yeah. And you after retreat, you opened Yellow
Yeah.
Belly. Um, which I mean, I remember so vividly because I got to meet one of my idols, Richard
Oh,
Blaze,
yes. Yes.
who helped you guys originally concept the menu. Does that
Exactly.
remind
Yeah.
me? It feels like it's been a long time.
Yeah, it has been because that was it opened 2018. So
Okay,
2017,
yeah.
2018. Yeah, we essentially hired him as a consultant
Mhm.
and helped us like take the concept that we had and how does that like come to specific dishes.
Yeah.
Part of hiring him was also we didn't really have a super strong team yet at that time. Like
Mm-hmm.
things had gone really well for us at retreat, so we kind of felt like, oh, we need to like keep doing stuff, but we weren't really fully ready to do that. Whereas now, like we've had the same chef at Yellowbelly for 6-7 years. We had the same general manager for 6 years. Like we have a group of people who can help out in both places. We didn't really have that at that time, so we were kind of scrambling. We had reached out to him, and like it just happened to work out. So he did a very good job of like, here are some dishes that are what I think you're going for, and we're like, yes, that's exactly what we're going for.
Yeah.
So,
What has changed for you from a perspective when you look at Yellowbelly and Lazy Tiger and Retreat, which I know you guys sold to
Yep.
the
It
employees?
was 2 of our long-term employees,
Yeah.
Jenny and Sydney.
When you look at those spaces, though, in the St. Louis restaurant scene, how do you think they've had an impact across St. Louis's dining scene?
Oh, that's hard to say. I don't know. I don't know how much of an impact they have on the scene. I think people have really enjoyed our places. Like we're just as busy now as we have ever
I
been.
know when I was at Yellowbelly just a few weeks ago, you guys were just absolutely slammed.
So we feel like obviously people still like what we're doing and
Mm-hmm.
kind of encourage us to keep going, really.
Does that ever worry you? Like, especially as you
Oh,
open something
definitely.
new, like that you have to almost poach from your own
Definitely.
pool.
Yeah, it's a concern. Like to me, everything is about long term. Like we don't make any of our day-to-day decisions that much on like, oh, will we make more money tomorrow on this? It's like, will this help the restaurant survive longer and have a longer life? Because to me, like that is where you find success. Like you could have a great year and then you could be done, a year or two from now. So how do we, make decisions that make it to where this restaurant sticks around for a long time? So definitely always a concern. Like Retreat and Yellowbelly were very close, like geographically, like a mile away. So we were nervous about that, but that's, a big reason why, yes, you can kind of see some continuity from our concepts, but we're still trying to make them very different at the same time. Like Extra Wavy is going to be very, very different from Yellowbelly, but you can see how it kind of comes from the same family.
Yeah. How much do you enjoy sort of that business aspect of running a hospitality group versus sort of like being, on the floor in the restaurant on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I definitely got really tired of being in the restaurant day to day. And then especially once I started having kids, it's like it just wasn't that realistic. So the business side of things, I feel like is something that I have found a niche at that I'm good at. I'm able to keep the talented people that work for us like in those roles. Tim is so incredible at not just beverage, but all things related to service and hospitality. So it's like, let him do that stuff and not have to sit around and deal with invoices and paying bills and who's paying insurance and all that stuff. So I get to handle a lot of stuff that is kind of boring and not super enjoyable. I'm the one doing our payroll every week and paying everybody, but
that's a very important role.
Yeah, it's like the most important job, really. It's like if people aren't getting paid, then they're not going to work there.
Right.
So I feel like I've kind of found my niche in that role and kind of work with all of that administrative side of things. And that way, our chefs and our managers get to focus on the service of our guests and like how to really nail that. And so I do enjoy that, and not being there till 11 o'clock at night, 6 days a week, like I was the first, 3 years.
3 kids.
Yeah.
Is that how you find a way to balance it all?
I guess so. I feel like there is no balance right now, and it just feels like we're scrambling at all times.
All times.
It's a little bit chaotic. The last year, we had another baby. We had 3 kids in 4 years, and then had these 2 concepts in the work over the last year. It's been
lots of babies.
It's been crazy, yeah.
But you are getting closer.
Yes.
You're hoping for a fall opening.
Yeah, we should be open in the next like 1 to 2 months. Is very, very realistic.
What, you talked about how you see downtown really blooming and blossoming, and, critics can be what they are. And you could probably never convince someone who thinks downtown is awful that downtown is not.
Yeah, if you watch the news enough. Then
right, exactly. But it is, and there is so much excitement happening. What makes you proud to be a part of that story, to continue that evolution of our downtown region?
Yeah, when I first moved to St. Louis, 2008,
And where'd you move from?
From Columbia. So after Mizzou, I grew up down in the Springfield, Missouri area, kind of small town down there. My older brother had come here after college. Then I kind of just followed him here. I worked in some bars like Washington Avenue, kind of the Washington Avenue heyday,
Yeah.
2008 to
That was a
2011.
time. That was a time.
So my first few years here, I spent a lot of time downtown.
Mhm.
And then, Ballpark Village, it's kind of seemed like changed everything. And now I feel like everything's kind of changing back and,
Mhm.
a lot more kind of smaller, local, independent restaurants, retail, all that stuff is coming back. So I love it. I think downtown's very important. I think soccer stadium, obviously, I think was like a huge boost, and a lot of it that kind of kickstarted a lot of stuff. My kids' daycare was downtown the first kind of 3 years, so we spent a lot of time driving right by the soccer stadium to go there. So I'm excited, and I think there are a couple developers that have a lot of projects in the pipeline, and I think it's exciting to see it.
What excites you right now, other than your concepts about the food scene in St. Louis? What are
Yeah,
you pumped about?
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. I mean, my favorite places are Sado and Indo. I mean, Nick's what he does is incredible. My wife and I both love not just sushi, but the sashimi, the nigiri,
Mhm.
all that type of stuff. And then kind of Thai influenced food is like one of my favorites. So kind of hit all those things with his restaurants.
So good.
But I think over the last handful of years, you've just seen a lot of different types of cuisine.
Mm.
I don't want to hate on Italian restaurants and pizza restaurants, but there's a lot of those in St. Louis, and I think we're just seeing a little bit more variety maybe over the last few years, and I think that's been good for the scene as a whole. I think St. Louis is kind of underrated. You've seen it on some lists over the last couple of years, and like, for the size of city we are, it has a
Mhm.
very good dining scene. When I go to Nashville and when I go to all these other cities that are like drivable cities, it's like, yeah, this restaurant was really good. And I've had very similar food and experiences at this place in St. Louis. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, these cocktails were good at this place, but they're not better than what I had at Planter's House and Taste. Not to mention Yellowbelly, possibly Lazy Tiger.
Always.
So I think St. Louis is spoiled, and I think people are very supportive of this restaurants, and I think the variety is gotten a lot better.
You're adding to that variety with
Yeah,
new
exactly.
spots opening up.
That was part of our initial inspiration, was just like I had gotten the opportunity to travel a lot kind of with my parents when I was younger. And then after college, a lot of friends go to Chicago and go to different cities. And I kind of went to these different cities and thought like, oh, my friends are going to the same place when they're hungry as if they want to drink. I was
Mhm.
like, in St. Louis, those places are different. And that was kind of our very like overarching goal, was like create a place where people want both the food and the drinks equally. It's not just a restaurant or just a bar.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Travis. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, and be sure to stay tuned to our social media, What's New in the Lou podcast on Instagram, and we will be sure to post when that official opening date of Extra Wavy is. Now, let's dive into what's going on in the Lou this week. Festival season is here, and Labor Day weekend kicks off a month of fun. We're starting things off with the Gateway Cup weekend, which kicks off on Friday, August 29th, with the Tour de Lafayette and includes bike races all over the area. The Japanese Festival is at Missouri Botanical Garden, August 30th through September 1st. St. Nicholas's Greek Festival is August 30th through September 1st. There will be a free outdoor concert at Keener Plaza on Saturday, August 30th, and the Tower Grove Harvest Festival celebrates their 20th season on Saturday, August 30th. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to What's New in the Lou to find out the latest on everything happening all around St. Louis.